All right, so welcome back to Arachnoiditis Unfiltered. And you may see a common theme with Sarah and I going on. We've done a few back-to-back episodes with the same clothes, and at the very first one we did, she goes, "Do you think we should change?"
Right? Make it
No,
look like 2 day.
we're not going to be that fake. I mean, I just, that's not us at all. We are out there. How you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Muddling through the day.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's 1 inch at a time. Sometimes it's one step
Do
or
have good news though today.
I do. Yeah. I mean, this is so
Yeah.
exciting. It all started. This is the story before I kind of get to the story. Um, I was driving the other day and I get a notice from Instagram that this organization is going live, doing a live feed.
Okay.
And I'm always curious, so I clicked on it. I follow this group and they're talking, talking, talking. And normally I don't do this, and I probably should have pulled over to do it, but I'm like, would you like to be on our podcast? And I'm talking in on my phone, trying to get on there. And she's like, sure. So I did a screen capture so that I would have her name.
Yeah.
And so I went in today, um, looked like the lady up, and I started following her. And then I saw on the bottom a couple of other people that I know that follow her. Another podcast that I was on, a couple of people in our groups. So I clicked on it, and it brought me to this group called Rare Patient Voice. Have you ever heard of them?
Is it part of the rare patient forum?
No, this
Okay.
is a whole different group. They've got
And no,
a
I
yeah.
haven't heard of them.
See, I mean, I've been following them for a long time,
Okay.
but I never really interacted with them. So this being Arachnoiditis Month, I ended up sending them a message saying, "Hey, we've started this little podcast, and it's Arachnoiditis Month, and we are advocates for arachnoiditis. Is there any chance that we can get somebody from your organization, with knowledge? We don't have to have, the most knowledgeable person there, but we would like to have a good conversation." And she sends back, "Do you know about Rare Patient Voice?" And I said, "Well, I know you're patient and caregiver advocates." She's like, "Yes, that's exactly what we do." And I said, "Well, we happen to be advocates for our disease." And I told her a little bit about the podcast, and I said, "We're just looking for somebody to join us on an episode, maybe later this month when Sarah returns, and we
I'm
can,
not in my ketamine coma. Yes.
yeah, we're going to do a wrap up of Arachnoiditis Month."
Okay.
And I said, "This would be awesome if we could get you." And she goes, "How how would you like to interview the founder?" And I was like, "Well,
Okay.
that would be awesome."
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so she's like, "You've got me, you've got him, and I don't have to be involved." And I said, "Oh no, I think I'd like you." She's a patient advocate for
Sure.
the
Yeah. Right. That'd be
and
great.
so that started an hour-long exchange of dialogue, information. Long
Nice.
story short, she said, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Do you want a referral code? And I said, "I'm sorry, this may be a little bit embarrassing for me. I don't know what that is."
I
And
don't
so,
know what that is. Yeah.
so she starts explaining to me, "We'd like to partner with you." And I said, "Partner, can I call it a collaboration?" She goes, "Absolutely. This is a collaboration."
Sure.
And just to give you a little perspective, this is a global organization. They have 100,000 patients in their database, and they work with 7,000 different research companies around the world. And so basically, what this is, our collaboration is they're going to give us a URL that says Arachnoiditis Unfiltered. We're going to tag it to everything that we have so that everybody can go in, and we'll talk about this every time.
Okay.
Maybe at the front, in the middle, or at the end. I think up front probably.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, what this takes them to is a registry for Rare Patient Voice. And what Rare Patient Voice does is they partner with these research companies, and they connect patients to studies and caregivers to studies that they get paid for. So, yes, right? I
How
mean,
have we not heard of this before?
well, we're spreading the word, sister.
But yeah, it's just like, ugh.
So, yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
that is
Yeah.
awesome. And so
Awesome.
that's going to bring us to adding more forums of people with disease, and they don't have to be rare disease. They can, I went on and registered myself, and I put heart disease, cardiac syndrome, arachnoiditis, of course, and there may have been vitiligo. I've got like a skin lightning disorder, the Michael Jackson, where you lose pigmentation, and it's an autoimmune disease. And my neurologist says, once you have one, you're prone to many more. Yay! Um, so we got that to look forward to.
Right. Just
Um,
keep your list,
yeah.
right?
So we have this. I mean, this collaboration is huge because it opens us up to all the people that they serve, right? Uh,
Right.
and it's going to increase our exposure, which is awesome. Get more people to listen, and we can cover more diseases and
Yeah.
more journeys, so that we can educate, like we said, beyond arachnoiditis. And they are super excited to come on our podcast.
This is awesome.
I
So
know.
do they have anybody with arachnoiditis already, or would that
Uh,
be a
well, I had
disease?
mentioned that, and I asked, and I don't remember if I saw. We had so many messages flying back and forth. I
Yeah.
kept missing stuff. But I did ask her if she was aware of Arachnoiditis Awareness Month, and
Hmm.
she said no. And I said, well, it's happening this July, and I told her about being the face of arachnoiditis for ACM CRN,
Right. Nice.
and she's like, "Hey, would you like to submit your a photo and be the face of your disease on its specific day or month?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Just
So,
keep it on.
uh,
Dang.
so yeah, lots going on with that. I'll be making more phone calls. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to reach out to somebody of importance,
That's
and
just the funny thing, right? Like they're just people like us too. Once you start talking to them, they are literally people like us trying to, advocate and help however they can. So,
yeah, I steered her to the podcast. I was like, generally what we do is we start out with a question or we start out with a topic and then we just let the conversation roll. It's very fluid and
it's
non-regimented.
informal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, there may be a couple of questions that we want answered that we'll have lined up just so we don't miss it. But otherwise, I think that's the best way uh, to get to things you may not normally talk about, and that can open up doors to new information you never would have thought to talk about.
Yeah,
So that's
right.
why I like our style. And somebody asked me the other day um, what comedy show I would compare it to, and I laughed. And I said Seinfeld, because they always started out with one thing, and that was the central thing throughout the entire
A
show.
whole episode. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so we start out with one question or one topic, and then it just kind of evolves, right? Anyway, I loved Seinfeld. I was a huge fan.
Call my son all the time, Kramer.
Okay,
He's got
great.
that hair, he comes out with his curly hair in the
Yeah.
morning.
That's funny. So while you're gone, I'll be kind of working behind the scenes, and I'll keep you updated. Hopefully
Yeah.
this will lead to other things.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of the things that I would like to do, and I think I mentioned this last time, is um, see if we can't get to a convention as an ambassador for either Rare Patient Voice or AMCCRM, and speak to a group.
Yeah,
And
see, I'm not even sure if they do conventions. Do you know? I'm
um,
free, but I'm not sure if
I don't know.
ACM
I
does.
don't know. I mean, if they don't, I'd be shocked. Well, I mean, especially around researchers, but you know, part of their mission is it's an education factor, and we need to educate, the primary care physicians and the pediatricians, because you don't have to be above a certain age to get this. Uh,
Nope.
I read there's a so on the website for Faces of Arachnoiditis for AMC CRN. Uh, we they've bestowed the honor to six. I'm the sixth person that they've given this honor to over their near 10-year history. And just below me is this young girl that got it from all these neurological surgeries that she had. I mean, very young. And I can only imagine. I mean, I had, pain since I was 20, but to be a teenager or preteen, I think she was when she had all these surgeries, numerous surgeries. You got to read the story. It's very, very moving.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'm just, looking to advocate and, you know,
Hopefully prevent that from happening too. That's one of our big things. If we can prevent any unnecessary sticks, we'll put
yeah.
it, you know, obviously we can't prevent everything because sometimes it's medically necessary to have the surgeries, but
Yeah. I mean, risk versus, reward, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, it really comes down to that. Just like we talked about with the epidurals for having a baby, can I go through this
Yeah.
without having that and not risk, having this condition after?
Yeah. Well, we're not saying don't do it. We're just saying that,
No, but
know that this is,
you have to, like you said, the scale of justice. You
yeah.
really have to weigh that out. Is it going, but the thing is, when you're young, you never think it's going to happen to you.
I know, but that the numbers that I threw out the other day where the
Astronomical.
majority women,
Yeah,
right?
astronomical.
And if you think about that, how many women have give birth to a child? It's a vast, big percentage. Not everybody chooses to go childless or does go childless.
Right,
So, you're going to see that pool be bigger than most as a result of that because they're getting it done on a regular basis.
right, right.
Everybody else gets it done, when they have an injury or, it's medically necessary.
Right, right. Absolutely. Well, this is so exciting. Well, I can
Uh,
add that to my birthday dance. Okay.
yeah.
I have good news too, though, but
Good.
to share really fast, I went to my doctor today, my pain management doctor, the one that I've only had for a year because I lost Dr. Gross after almost 15 years. He just quit or got fired. That's a whole nother issue in itself. But I went in today very prepared. I had a letter written in which maybe we can add that in the comments, take my info off. But so patients can use this as an example moving forward. And it was just a very basic letter. It stated again, my primary diagnoses, what medications I'm on. And again, they're not what it is I wanted my suppositories back. Just
Uh,
lying.
yeah.
And so I said, do you have me down as a palliative care patient? Because that does change a lot of things.
Mhm.
They're like, well, I don't know, So they didn't. So they changed me to palliative care. And she said, let me talk to the doctor. Like I said, I had my old script with me to show I was on this med for 15 years. And through the pharmacy, every month I had it filled. Like I gave them I gave them everything signed, sealed, delivered. They called me back within 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and said, we're reinstating everything.
Wow. Good for you.
A miracle. Like, that's just a miracle. So
Well,
I'm super excited about it because hopefully, between doing the ketamine infusions and now having this, also, I pray that I never go through this bad of a flare again.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you have the ketamine and you could come back needing not as much as you had before, right? Because
Absolutely.
you don't want to,
Yeah, I've told you before, my idea is if I can, I'm going to wean down at least on
yeah,
my pain pills. I mean, I'd love to get off of them, to be honest, if that ever
trust
becomes
me, it's a
and I
new
would,
life, but it's a different life because, when that pain comes
right.
right up here, you have to be strong. And I will tell you, Chris on our last episode was talking about his blood pressure getting up to like 179. Mine's been above 200 when I'm in pain.
Oh, right. When you're in pain, it skyrockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went in, I was having some heart problems and I went into the heart hospital here. This was a couple of years ago. Drove myself in during a snowstorm. And what prompted me, there you go. What prompted me, are you plugged in?
Yeah.
Okay. What
Background.
prompted me to go was I was sitting drinking coffee that morning, looking out the window. Snow was coming down. It was already snow covered the ground. It was beautiful. And these are my favorite mornings because I'll put some noise on in the background and I'll just sit there sipping my coffee, looking out,
Yeah.
occasionally see a deer or, some wildlife scurrying about. I live on a small acreage here in Edmond.
Yeah.
Um, and all of a sudden I looked down at my Garmin and my heart rate had skyrocketed to 165. I'd done nothing exertion wise. So
Mhm.
something was going on. And so I called the heart hospital and I said, this is what's happening. They said, well, we know there's a bad snowstorm and, if you can get here, get here.
Mhm.
So I get there, they're hooking me up. And all of a sudden I look up at my blood pressure and it's like 210 over something. They're going, oh my, look at his blood pressure. And I mean, I was sitting there thrashing in pain, and I told them about arachnoiditis, and
Right.
I don't take anything for pain. So when my pain comes, it's going to elevate my pressure. I'm on medication, but it's sometimes it's not strong enough to deal with it. And lo and behold, next day I'm in the cath lab, and they found some blockage. They threw in a stent, and I was separated at that time. My ex-wife came and picked me up and drove me back here to the house. And I have the best neighbors in the world. So as we pull up, there's like two groups of neighbors with snow
Aw.
shoveling
Aw.
off my driveway because
Yeah, that's awesome.
they knew what happened. I called my neighbor Andrew, who's like one of my best friends, and I said, "Hey, can you look in on Shelby?" And I told him what was getting ready to happen. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got you." So yeah, they took it upon themselves to do me a solid. And man, I
What
tell you what,
great neighbors.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness. I
Yeah.
have the opposite,
Um,
but that's a whole nother story. I do have
sometimes,
some really good neighbors too, though,
yeah,
honestly, but
yeah.
that's really nice.
I won the lottery on Neighbors. There's a group of us that get together for New Year's Eve. We've done the same thing since 2011 when I moved here.
Nice.
Every New Year's we start planning around, Thanksgiving, talking
Hmm.
about it, and then I'm showing up as the only single guy. Everybody else is married. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, but hey, I can hang.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. And like I told you, it'd come when you least expect it to, you know.
yeah,
And
maybe.
if not, it is what it is.
I keep saying, and I've had this conversation with a couple of different people. I don't want to decide for somebody if they choose to be with me, if that actually happens. But at the same time, I wouldn't subject myself on anybody because of all the stuff that I have to deal with. I mean, people see us on this podcast for 30, 40 minutes. We
Mhm.
can pull together a good 30, 40 minutes and hold it in uh,
Right.
and look like normal people. And that's kind of the
Right.
misconception, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We're not normal. We're
Yeah.
still in pain while we're doing this. Trust me, it's been raining here today, and
Oh,
you know,
yes, too. Yeah.
so barometric pressure, CSF issues. Um, but anyway, yeah, if I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. I'm not really in a hurry, and I do know I won't get married again. I will have a partner for life, but I'm
Sure.
I'm not going to be the third marriage guy, the serial. Yeah.
Never say never. That's my thing. You never know. You just
Yeah.
might meet that one that you're like,
I don't know,
this
man.
is what I missed my whole life. Yeah. But
I'm pretty stoic.
yeah.
Trust me.
Well, my dad said never, never, ever, ever again, forever.
Oh, really?
He's a little older than you, but yeah. So he met this lady and she is about, I don't know, 8 years older than him. Older,
Okay.
but he is so head over heels for her. It is unlike any of the relationships. This is his third marriage.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's why I say never say never. You just never know, but
Yeah.
I understand also.
So, because of the way this conversation has turned out to be, I mean, this is,
All over the place.
yeah,
This is
well,
us.
but when we talk, in general,
Yeah.
offline, this is how our conversations go. So,
Yeah.
we started with one thing and then we let it evolve to this. And this brings me to, we had our first hater on Facebook. Sarah knows what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Oh, I sure do. Yeah.
It was about our first episode, and it was our first episode, right? So we were kind of all over the place with stuff, but it was our first face to face, and we had to get to know each other. So we opened
Yeah.
up, and then it's about sharing life. And at
Hmm.
one point, I talked about my divorce, and I talked about mowing my lawn.
You
Because
really pissed that person off.
he was
I'm
he was
telling
like,
you.
join a dating site and stop talking about grass. And I laughed so hard.
Right. Yeah,
And
we
I mean,
both laughed
everything
at it.
was negative, negative, negative. And the funny thing is, we're trying to be positive, positive, positive,
Right.
despite the negative. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
so, yeah, I brought that up to my kid, and he goes, "That's a troll, Dad."
That's what I said. It's a
Yeah.
troll. But you know what? I like to hear about your yard. I like to see pictures out your window. And you know what? If someone else doesn't, then maybe if we bring you any joy or hate, at least
Yeah.
we're bringing something to your life,
Um,
right? That's what I said. Whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
uh,
that got me to thinking, why one of the other reasons that we did this and that we chose to expose our lives with
mm,
arachnoiditis to the world is because we're on these forums and we hear all this horrible stuff that's happening to all these awesome people.
yeah,
And it's all closed off, it's all private, which it should be.
yeah,
But we took the choice to say, you know what? Unfiltered,
right.
let it out there.
Right. And if we say things that we mess up, we're human just like everybody else. It's not edited at all. We don't stop. Well, they probably
No,
know that. They're like, no shit. I mean, you mess up all the time.
I know.
But
Yeah,
our point is we don't want to put like any fluff out there. We want to be coming across as just real people. We
yeah,
can get on here and talk like medical professionals all day long.
for
But
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's not going to relate to anybody. So,
yeah. We'll pepper
uh,
that in though, because it's important that,
well, right. Yeah.
we know what we're talking about. But again, we're not giving, uh, you know,
Advice.
advice, take
Right.
this,
Right.
whatever.
That you have to see your doctor for that, and everybody knows.
No, no, we'll give
We
you things to say when you see your doctor.
right. Right.
That's, I mean, that's just the experience that we both have. So
Yeah. Learning the medical jargon and how to talk to them. That's important.
absolutely. So
Okay.
yeah, big things happening and gonna gonna start reaching out to other people and telling them about the collaborations that we have. The more we can actually talk about, I
Yeah.
think the more, even with our 34 loyal listeners, thank you very much, by the way.
All right.
Uh,
We
uh,
appreciate every one of you. I
yeah, I
mean,
told my
honestly.
my youngest son, I said, you're gonna have to like and subscribe. And he goes, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, really? Oh
I
no.
know.
I
I
didn't
mean,
even ask my son yet. He probably won't either. I don't know.
my oldest probably will.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
They don't get it yet.
they
Someday,
no,
maybe.
they don't know. But it kind of got me to thinking that nobody's ever exposed their life to the world unless they're just on their, you know, being and seeing, right? Just kind of cutting loose on all the negativity.
Yeah.
I saw a friend of mine on Facebook that was going through a divorce, and oh my gosh, the stuff that he was throwing out there was just
Hmm.
like, gee, how did you stay married for so long, is what I want to know.
Yeah.
And it was the blame game, and man, I hate throwing negativity in the world.
Yeah. And you got to take accountability. It goes, but not to say in your situation that it was yours or her fault. I'm just saying in general, like that's how we all grow, right?
Yeah,
Taking accountability for at least some of it, right?
yeah.
But
And it's not like our lives are so awesome that we think
right.
everybody's going
Everybody's just
to.
going to want to be a part of this. It's
No,
a party over here. Yeah.
it's just that, how have you ever been able to glimpse into the life of two different people,
Mhm.
same disease that's rarely known, that's probably not talked about near enough, which is
Right.
we're trying to change, and get a peek behind the curtain of what life is really like for somebody in chronic pain. And of course, you're going to see us at our best here, few exceptions. But you know what? We may bring you into the netherworld of how bad and how dark it gets with
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
This is Steve's picture when he's been up for 3 days straight. It's
Oh, yeah.
not pretty because I probably haven't showered. I probably haven't, mustered up the effort
Hmm.
because it's just too painful.
Right.
Um,
100%. I
yeah.
sent you some pictures during my flare. I was like, oh, I'm not going on there like this. I at least have to get my hair,
Ye-
you know,
Oh yeah.
unratted and, I mean, that's just true life though with with any, condition that, takes over your whole entire life or disease, I should say rather, but,
Yeah. I mean,
so.
it does a 180 when you get that diagnosis.
Hmm.
And then that's when your education comes into play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people Google is the first thing that they do when they get that diagnosis? I would almost venture 99.99%,
Yeah.
unless you're so old you don't know how to use Google.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
happens too,
in
right?
which case your caregivers are going to be the ones to do that for you.
Right. And they are unfortunately not going to probably know what it, oh, well, they'll Google it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when it came to my attention, I was like, I thought the worst thing was the pseudomeningeal when I saw the paperwork from the radiologist.
Mm.
And I saw arachnoiditis on there. I was like, oh, it's just inflammation. I passed it off as just inflammation. I didn't
Right.
think it
I
was
did
arachnoiditis.
too. I didn't really, I mean, I thought it was inflammation and pain, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, no kidding. I mean, I could have told you I have that without this diagnosis. And the neurosurgeon was like, no, like sit back down. Like, we got to really talk about this and
Yeah.
really explained it to me because, I mean, I was kind of, like I said, I kind of just dismissed it.
Yeah.
And there's so much to it, even that he didn't explain because he only knew, you know, I don't even know that most neurosurgeons or that field related. Actually, I don't know what Dr. Tennant's field is. Do you? Offhand?
He was a I think he had an
He did
MD.
pain management, but
Yeah, he was an MD in pain management, and then he did something else along the way.
yeah,
I
he
thought.
must have done like research or because he
Well,
did all that with like lupus or
yeah,
fibromyalgia. He was
yeah,
one of the founding fathers for that. So I don't know. He's so smart though. I mean, just to think like he was able to look, and there's not a lot of doctors that do that. They'll look outside the box or collaborate things together. Most that I've met, anyways, have to have it like black and white. This is diabetes, your blood sugar's high, those type of, and they really can't look beyond that. So
yeah.
it's
Well, I mean,
interesting.
we will at some point get established with other means of archiving information.
Yeah,
So it'll be a click away. I'm newly diagnosed. What the heck do I do next?
right. Exactly. Yeah.
And have resources. We can direct them to Rare Patient Voice. We can direct them to AMC or ACMCRN,
Right.
and get them the resources, get them in the system. I mean, the Rare Patient Voice, the real beauty of sending people there and getting them registered is that when they're doing a study, they have a larger pool to draw from. So,
Right.
the
Yeah.
sampling is going to be so much better, and they'll get closer to knowing the reality on the percentages that they're looking at, that are affected this way, that, or depending on what the research study is. So I'm very encouraged about what they're doing and what we can do to help them.
Yeah.
Uh,
And vice versa. I mean,
yeah.
really, it's a collaboration. Like you said, that's so useful.
Yeah,
It's
that's going to
awesome.
be exciting to see that evolve, and we will, be in contact with them. The rapport that I've developed with her name is Stacy.
Mm.
Um, I can already tell, she and I are going to be in touch, and
Yeah.
we may end up having a segment, having her back, talking about, the latest research that they have
Nice.
now
Yeah.
pulled in, and what groups do we need to come sign up? What types of patients are you looking for now?
Mm.
And to have more of.
Right.
And then we can focus on bringing one of them on the podcast, talking about whatever it is they're dealing with, and then say,
Yeah,
hey,
that's awesome.
go here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be just so many other diseases that we can help,
Oh
which,
yeah, the list is
that's
long.
right. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
just wanted just to really, I know we're probably out of time, but on Doc Talks, in case you haven't ever been on, can you see that on there
No,
or is it?
pull it back. Pull it back. There we
No.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So when you guys go on their website on on Facebook, there is a little, if you just really quick, scroll over to files on here. We'll put this down there
We
because
can't
so
see
it's
it
not retarded for like this in here. But anyways, when you're on there on Facebook on Doc Talks,
because you
there
have
is,
your screen blurred. It's not
I
so.
know, I know. There's a files button though, and it gives all of his protocols from now till the beginning of this. I didn't even know that. Did you know that was there?
No. Mm-mm.
No, me neither. Because every time I'm looking for something, I have to go here, I have to go there. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. So that I thought was like pertinent and info to get everybody. And we'll, like you said, we're gonna make like if you're newly diagnosed, here's the most important protocols to use and or whatever else we
Oop.
go on.
Yeah.
I just okay.
All right. Well, we got 10 minutes left.
Really? Oh my gosh, how does that happen? We always run out of time. I was rushing. Hmm. What else do we
Yeah.
want to talk about? Anything else? I hope that we get
Oh, hey, do you want to?
yeah.
I wanted to show everybody. I don't know if this will show up, but this is the hardware that
Oh.
I carried around in my back. You see these metal ties?
Yeah. They're ginormous.
Yes, and like if you look, some of them.
What did where
I
was
mean,
this from a field they went out and grabbed these?
well,
I'm
I
just
mean,
teasing, like,
no. Think about this. Nobody wanted to take my surgery on
right.
because it was so scary. But this, so like this went around
Mm.
the lamina,
Oh my God,
and
that's
I
huge.
mean it's an inch long and it's
Yeah.
sharp as hell. I
Yeah.
mean, and then I had several of these. They did three different, or they fused three different levels, L3, 4, 5, down to S1. And I would always have back pain, and it's
Yeah, no wonder why.
because of these, man.
On, right.
And when they
I'm like,
when they pulled the hardware out,
ugh.
I had sciatic nerve pain. That was my main complaint up to that point, when I
Mm,
developed that leak and they had to go in and pull the hardware out. But my sciatic nerve pain went away.
mm,
We switched it out for arachnoiditis.
mm.
So
Well, yeah,
yeah,
that's terrible. I mean, I have sciatic nerve pain all the time, but I think mine is from the, co-joined nerve roots and that variation that I have. But I have heard a lot of patients saying that that's their, not main symptom, but they have that same pain all the time.
wow.
That's
Well, hey,
amazing, though. I cannot believe you had that in your body for like, how long was
yeah.
that in you before
Um,
they took that out?
from 82, and I had that surgery in 2000.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
just 20 or 30
yeah,
years.
it was that was a lot of pain. I took back then. I was
Mm,
taking Excedrin Max or something like that,
mm,
and it was doing a number on my stomach. But it was the
mm.
only thing that helped. So I can again, it was that risk reward. How much do I want my stomach to hurt versus how much do I want my sciatic nerve to hurt? And I mean, again, that's kind of part of our disease is that you have to make choices.
Yeah.
I mean, not just of medications, but of, trips and,
Everything.
yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
So anyway, real life with arachnoiditis.
Yeah. Just
Um,
so you know, too, yesterday I used that analogy because I told you I went to the Springs with my family. They're down here visiting. And I explained it to them. I'm going because I love you guys. I'm going to make a memory for you guys. Yeah, well, for myself too, but
yeah,
but my trade-off is I'm gonna have to be in bed a few days after this, and or take more medicine to get through it. Um, but yeah, I kind of used your analogy and they kind of all looked at me like, I don't know, like they'd never thought of it like that before. Really.
yeah. The other one other way that I would express it was, how much do you want me to suffer for you?
Right.
Right.
That's really what I said. Yeah.
That essentially
Yeah.
that's when you scrape off that, the love part, but it is
Right.
about the love, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
love them enough to make that sacrifice. I love my kids enough to, quit all the medications.
Right.
Now that they're grown, maybe I should go back in and say, hey, let's try this again.
Well, and honestly, if you did, Steve, I think you have to. I think that is so important. Like every patient should get that DNA profile that I've talked about.
Yeah,
Because I think after hearing what you had said about the meds, I really think you just had not found like me initially. Like they tried everything and nothing helped. Honestly,
yeah,
for me, nothing helped. It may have given me like an energy high, but it wasn't helping with the pain.
right.
So I just thought nothing was going to work until they did that test. And then, it helps, but it's not like a miracle drug or anything either.
Yeah.
But that
But
that would be something I'd suggest to you, like if
yeah,
you really wanted to consider, you know, going that route.
yeah, I think it would, I mean, at the very least, steer you in the right direction
Sure.
or a direction to avoid for sure.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think, there needs to be more to that. Uh,
absolutely. Every patient in chronic pain that has to be on those any meds. And it didn't just look at opioids. It looked at, how I react to benzos too,
yeah,
So there was a lot of useful data, even for my ketamine infusions coming up. Am I going to be able to, rapidly absorb it normally or not? So thank
Yeah.
God I already had it. So he was able to use that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody needs that. But yeah, I do think maybe you should give it a try, especially, on those really bad days when you're, like yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, the way I was on it before, they wanted me regimented
Right.
because the thing about pain is once you have it at bay, it's easier to keep it at bay as opposed to letting it spike up and then trying to get it down and spike up and trying to let it get down. And pretty much you're just building a plateau point for it to land on, higher on the pain level. But, and I, I think I could go back to, and I will maybe look at that at some point when
Mm,
I just can't take it anymore.
right.
But for now, I'm pretty stable and pretty able to handle even the worst of my days. And I recorded one and put it on Facebook the other day.
Oh,
First
did
time
you?
ever. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look it up. I
Yeah.
didn't see.
You got to go back a couple of months, but I for the longest time I didn't talk about arachnoiditis on Facebook.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I feel that it's essential with the platform that we have. And oh, speaking of platforms, um, we're going to be changing our recording platform.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
are we doing the river bend or what are we doing?
Yeah, Riverside.
Or river
And
bend,
yeah.
riverside, yeah. Okay.
And all depending on what I find on the versions, we'll have to circle back and talk about it. But
Okay.
it, we've called ourselves a podcast up to this point. We're really a vlog.
Right.
But this is a podcast studio that will also allow us to continue recording and putting it out there in different format. Um, but yeah, and it's going to be so much easier to push it out to our social media.
Yeah.
Get it
Oh,
out there.
yes. Right. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know.
right now,
Right now I have my kids working on this. Like, can you put this on everything for me? Because
yeah,
mom don't know how, but
yeah, and I mean, consider that we're still figuring this out. I mean, this
yeah.
is episode 7. Can you believe it?
Right. No.
And
It's flown by.
yeah, we're doing a bit of a backlog while you're going to be in your ketamine
Right.
stupor. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, who
Oh,
wouldn't
really?
be? Well, who wouldn't be scared of? I'm not the type of person that likes to feel out of my body, like, or altered at all. Like, I don't drink. I don't do any illicit drugs or anything. The only thing I take is my prescription, and I take them how I should.
Right.
So even when I've tried medical marijuana, I hated it because I had that, either the euphoria, which made me really anxious
Yeah.
probably because I just didn't, um, know how to relax with it, or the opposite. I slept, it
Oh,
just
yeah.
knocked me
I've
out.
done that
So,
before. I was doing the gummies,
mm,
and
yeah,
they were knocking me out flat. I mean, I guess I
mm.
was taking too much. They were very tasty though.
They
It was
tasted
like
just like gummies. Yeah,
it was like
right.
the trolley gummy worms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
That's
exactly
how they
what it was.
tasted.
But
Oh God.
it had a kick to it.
I can't
Uh,
even. I was taking like a quarter of one of those,
I know.
FYI, and it was snowing me. So,
All
but
right,
yeah.
so I'm going to sign us off here. Thanks everybody
Okay.
for joining us again. If you waited to the end, like and subscribe,
Yep,
please.
we're trying to get you help. We're trying.
Yeah,
We're
we're
working
trying
on
to
it.
do all we can. So we'll
All
see you
different
next
angles,
time.
huh? All
Yeah,
right.
for real.
Bye.
Episode 8. Bye.
Yay. Bye.